ready and focused to go for this race. But here is how the grid will line up. Lots of action to come at the Grand Valley Highway reverse circuit in the Red Bull X 2019s, and Jose Serrano has got a clean view down towards that first corner. His compatriot Paul Ura alongside him, brilliant they both were in that sprint race a few moments ago. Kylian Drummond heads row 2, and he has got Takuma Sasaki, who made his way up from 10th to 4th at the checkered flag. Gallo lines up P5 at the head of row 3, and alongside him is Thomas Leboutelet. Next up, Takuma Miyazono, the reigning world champion. Not been his day so far in the Nations Cup. Can he make forward progress from there with Angelina Stroza for company alongside? Guy Barbara just on the fringes of the top 10, and completing it is Kai de Bruyne, who we saw in the wars in the sprints. And also Adriano Carazza, he'll be wanting to move forwards from 11th position. And Sam Cardinal, we haven't really seen much from the new-coming Canadian here. And we do now see a look at the tyre strategies, Jimmy. Lots of drivers starting on the medium tyres, but a few on the hards as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take a stab at it, right? If you're not really at the front of the field, maybe just bolt the hard on, get rid of it, and then hope for the best. I mean, we'll see how that strategy plays out, but this will also be the first time the other competitors can see what the other drivers are on as well, to get an idea of their strategy. But Serrano, Ura and Drummond opting for that medium compounder tyre, so they'll be looking to get some space at the start, but Leboutelet is going to be the cork in the bottle for the midfield. They always get by him as soon as possible. He's going to be very slow at the start with that hard compounded tyre. So
a rolling start then for the drivers in this race. We'll spread the field out down towards that first corner, but crucially, who is going to be leading when the checkered flag falls here in the Nations Cup? We're about to find out. 30 laps of action to come for our drivers, and of course they must use 2 or more tyre compounds in this race. Very hard wearing of the Red Bull X 2019s on their tyres, but the grand final for the Nations Cup in London is underway as Serrano leads the field towards the first corner with Paul Ura, Kylian Drummond, Sasaki, Gallo all in tow behind. All of those top 5 drivers on the medium compound tyre. Keep an eye out for Leboutelet. He's sort of the cork in the bottle for the drivers behind, because he's in 6th place on the slower, harder compound, and it really does bottleneck up between these first couple of corners. But a clean start at the sharp end of this race means that Serrano leads from Ura.
Yeah, Gallo there just about staying ahead of Leboutelet, but as you say, really, really difficult through their first lap. All the cars vying for that same bit of time. Drummond there just sitting behind Paul Ura for now. Guy Barbara already up 2 places, as is Kai de Bruyne on that soft compound tyre. Keep an eye out for Kai. He's the only one who's gone for that soft tyre early, so he's been very fast here, but won't be able to use the best of that tyre in clean air. But it looks like Serrano right now actually a little bit slow and struggling there on exit of the corner, getting those wheels lit up and the rear tyres spinning. Maybe not quite got the temperature those medium compound tyres yet.
Well, the cars are great when they've got aerodynamic grip, but when they're in these slow corners, they're particularly difficult to drive, because you haven't got the air flowing over the car, and there's just not the same levels of downforce that you would be contending with. Leboutelet, meanwhile, is dropping down the order. He's down into 10th position, so that's to be expected because he's on the hard compound tyre relative to those on the mediums around him. So he's deciding to take the pain in the early stages of this one, in the hope that the race will come back to him a little bit later on. The converse is happening for Kai de Bruyne. He's hoping to make progress while the field is all bunched up, while he's on the soft tyres and everyone else is on the medium tyres, as we see Ura going at the start of lap 2 for the race lead against Serrano.
Yeah, straight away, straight by goes Paul Ura up into the lead. Drummond now having to defend from Sasaki. Comes into a very, very difficult braking zone down here, into this really tight, it's more than 180 degrees of rotation through there. Serrano keeping 2nd place from Drummond, who's now right there. And they both, the Spanish driver said there before the race, that Drummond is the one they are looking out for. He is the driver they fear, so trying their best to keep him there for now. But the first 5 cars all glued together, and de Bruyne up into 5th position.
Yeah, making good progress there is Kai de Bruyne. What's happening with Miyazono and Leboutelet? Leboutelet got biffed by Miyazono into the back there. Did that cost him a bit of time? Well, actually, it helped Leboutelet a little bit, because it drew alongside Valerio Gallo. Guy Barbara, stays left. He goes through on Miyazono for 7th position there as well. So that just goes to show, when it all bottlenecks up like that in those tight and twisty sections, one mistake can cost you very dear.
Yeah, it can, and Miyazono there just getting things a little bit wrong. Kai de Bruyne up into 4th place. He is charging right now, really making the most of this soft compound tyre. The others are almost standing still by comparison now. Coming to the top of the circuit, it's a left hand. The next car's going to look up the inside. Can he make a move on Kylian Drummond? Not quite close enough for that, but he's going to have a great exit here, using the traction of that soft compound tyre. and the toe, and he might have a go here on Dumont as he come across his start-finish line onto lap 3 we go. Kai de Bruin to the inside, to the indicator there flashing on Killian Dumont, saying, you know what mate, go by, I don't want to fight you right now. And Kai de Bruin now up 7 places from his starting position.
Yeah, that's a great bit of strategy there from Kai de Bruin in the early stages. You can see he's a full-time automotive engineering student, so I wonder whether he's been putting that into practice here today. He's all over the back of Jose Serrano, sticking to him like a sweaty shirt at the moment as he tries to find his way through the Spaniard for second position. We're on the back straight in towards the left-hander who'll have more grip under braking and dives his way to the inside. De Bruin driving past Serrano like he was standing still.
You know what, I was saying earlier that he needs to make the most of this soft tyre, and he's kind of doing it. He's just getting by people nice and quickly, and then into the back of Paul Ura there, just showing the difference in the speed on the apex there to the medium, and that soft compound tyre actually caught Kai de Bruin out a little bit, and now where will he pass? Because he needs to pass and just put away. That's the strat now for him on the inside. Is he going to make it done? Kai de Bruin goes from 10th position on the grid up to first in just over 3.5 laps in that soft compound tyre. So let's see now what the Dutchman can do.
Well, now he needs to pull out a gap, doesn't he, with Yuri? He needs to stop fighting with him and use those soft tyres to the best of their advantage, because of course they're all well and good while they're in the great operating window that Kai de Bruin is in, but they do wear out very, very quickly, and the last thing you want is a set of tyres that's like chewing gum, because you won't be able to get any traction, any grip at all, and they'll be all over the shop. Ura is not going to take this one lying down though as we come through into the tunnel at the start of lap 4, and he's in the slipstream here is Paul Ura. Can he take advantage of the fact that de Bruin doesn't have the hole being punched in the air in front of him? No, he's not able to find his way through on the Dutchman, so now Kai de Bruin needs to get his head down, needs to pull out an advantage to be able to salvage something later on in this race, because presumably being on those soft tyres he's going to have to go a stop longer than some others.
So Paul Ura actually there was trying to get out of the slipstream. We're thinking, well, what is he doing that for? Because he doesn't want to fight Kai de Bruin right now, because you can see there is obvious pace differential. The worst thing you can do for the long race, you've got to look into the future and not just the lap you're on, is just have that fight and lose that time. So good from Paul Ura. Serrano in third as well, still there. Dumont still there, as is Gallo and Sasaki. So here really your main contenders at the moment. And Kai de Bruin is now in the process of starting to open up a gap, half a second now between himself and Paul Ura, but he is sort of putting these guys along a little bit.
Yeah, the rest of the field on the medium tyres from second down to 10th, all pretty even. I have to say, de Bruin though, picking up a penalty for a collision with another car. Was that due to the contact with Ura that we saw on the last lap?
Maybe?
Let's have a look.
The stewards know better. What's happened?
Oh, it was earlier on. So it was with Guy Barber, he's just going to biff it into the back of him.
That's pretty clear cut there. We missed it on the broadcast. So Kai de Bruin, after having a great start, is now going to have a second penalty, which is going to pretty much get rid of all that work he's done and really put paid to the Dutchman's efforts there. What a shame.
What a shame. Yeah, absolute tragedy there for Kai de Bruin, because he was driving so well. Carranza picks up a 2-second penalty for a collision as well. He has been in the wars here tonight, unfortunately, as we look at Valerio Gallo with a train of cars in front of him. Killian Dumont directly ahead, and then the two Spaniards of Serrano and Ura just up the road. This is going to go from a battle for second position up to a battle for the race lead effectively in a moment, because Kai de Bruin is going to go through, or is Gallo going to get caught out? He does just get stuck behind Kai de Bruin after the Dutchman has served his penalties. The question is now though, has de Bruin got any life left in those tyres to dispose of those top 3 once again? The problem is, as you said, Jimmy, all that hard work has already been undone, so now he's on the back foot.
Yeah, it's not quite sure where his race goes from here. I mean, he will still have that soft tyre pace, so he'll be able to get by these guys again if they let him do it. But now, they've let him by once before. They don't want to do that again, because they are also looking after their own race as well. And getting out of someone's way is always going to cost you time. But on board now, Kai de Bruin. Look at the back of Killian Dumont in front. Now, this is really one of the better overtaking spots up here, just hairpin in his reverse circuit. So might have a look here. There's a big lunge up the inside. Wow, big move there by Kai de Bruin. I think he knows now he doesn't need to make these moves if he's going to make the strategy work at all. But Dumont did well there to open the steering and sort of let him by.
There's a nice dive to the inside there for Kai de Bruin. The problem he's got is those tyres are going to be coming towards the end of their useful shelf life in a couple of laps or so he really does need to make haste and try and pull out an advantage. He's all over the back of Jose Serrano's rear wing and trying to find his way through on the Spaniard. A dive to the inside is what he needs, and he gets it done into second place there for Kai de Bruin.
Yeah, nice from Kai de Bruyne again, having to do it all again. Will Paul Euro do the same and just let him through? I mean, it's great viewing for us, having Kai just leave the field and, and go back through it again, periodically, but for him, yeah, to the inside there. Oh, and Paul Euro actually didn't see him coming. Kai de Bruyne goes very wide there, and Euro back up into the lead. So I think Kai thought he'd have the place definitely there, and Paul Euro turned in. I think to use an old adage that he got to the apex first, did Kai de Bruyne. So I don't know, see what our stewards think of that.
Yeah, some aggressive dives to the inside there for Kai de Bruyne. I mean, he needs to do that, doesn't he, really? But the problem is, like you say, he should be a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds up the road now at this point, and he's not. He's 2/10 up the road, which is going to be at a big disadvantage in a few minutes' time, especially on those rear tyres, which are, as you can see, significantly more worn than the other drivers behind, come towards the end of that stint.
So here we are then, coming on to the end of lap 7. Paul Euro and Serrano there. Still at the front, really, when you think about it. I mean, Kai de Bruyne isn't that soft compound tyre, but he's not utilised that to its best effort with the penalty earlier on for contact with Guy Barbara. On board with Kimi Miyazono, who is still here. Right, he's still here. He's just in the back of his pack right now, biding his time. And Paul Euro is now fighting Kai de Bruyne. He's had enough of sitting behind the Dutchman. I think now Kai's tyres are starting to go the other way. The soft tyres starting to wear, and then more contact there with Paul Euro. Desperate driving now from Kai de Bruyne, I think, Tom.
Yeah, it's like giving Dracula the keys to the blood bank, this, isn't it? He's trying his best here to hold on to these positions, but I just can't see it working there for Kai de Bruyne, unfortunately. He just cost himself so much time with that penalty, and he's now going to be a bit of a sitting duck to all of those drivers who sit in his wheel tracks behind.
We'll just keep an eye on that for now. But this is actually quite nice for Paul Euro. He's got the buffer now to the rest of the guys behind him. So not the worst thing in the world to have Kai de Bruyne in between you, but still running strong at the moment. You see this awesome Grand Valley circuit. I often wonder sometimes what would happen if the barriers weren't there. It could be quite entertaining, but you know why it is over.
Yeah, just get good at swimming, wouldn't you? Or find out how good the X2019s are at swimming, certainly. Let's have a look at something going on behind. This was, Miyazono with a lunge to the inside of Sasaki. And Gallo, I think, was just a little bit slower than Miyazono was expecting going into that corner. Miyazono nearly got 2 for the price of 1, but eventually had to back out of it. Meanwhile, we see De Bruyne going in for a defensive line here against Serrano for second position, but just nothing doing for Serrano at the moment. But you would imagine, again, Kai de Bruyne now coming on to lap 8. This is where we're expecting the soft tyre runners to come in, and De Bruyne being the only one of those. Look at those tyres, they are significantly more worn than the others around him, and it's going to leave him vulnerable here. But I say that, he does get up ahead of Euro with the advantage of the slipstream, but has he got the grip then under braking to retain that lead? He does for now, at least.
I wonder if they can make this tyre go 10 laps. This soft tyre, that will change the landscape of the race quite considerably for everyone else around them as well. So Kai, I mean, he's not putting away, but he's still there. He's still in that little bubble of cars. And if he can stay there, either hold them up or get towed along on this soft tyre, which is now starting to definitely fall away, his lap time much slower than the cars around him, then he can still maybe make something of this. But it really just depends on the strategy of those around him. So right now, the race order is Kai de Bruyne, Paul Euro, Jose Serrano, Kylian Dramont, Valerio Gallo and Kimi Miyazono, your top 6 at the moment. So we'll see if anyone else can progress from there.
Well, keep an eye out for the medium shot runners behind as well, because I wonder if someone's going to try and go for the undercut, because you can see how close they are just in terms of the timing screen on the left-hand side. They're all within a couple of tenths of a second pretty much of one another. If you're Miyazono, if you're Gallo, for example, do you decide to pit a lap early, go for a faster compound of tyre in the middle stint, undercut everybody else when you're in clear air and just run your own race, get out of the dirty air, get out of the traffic, and try and make dividends like that, as we see De Bruyne then coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 8. So those soft tyres have cried no more. Where's he going to go from here, though?
Yeah, I think maybe I'd have to go for an aggressive strategy now, another soft tyre, and have a go that. Now everyone is unleashed. Everyone's like, right, okay, here we go. Now they're fighting as we come down to the hairpin down the bottom end. Dramont looking to the outside of Gallo. Gallo and Dramont now having a little bit of door-to-door contact, or whatever constitutes a door in this car. And Miyazono now being mugged by Sasaki on the inside. The two Japanese drivers side by side. So now that Kai de Bruyne's pitted, everyone's like, right, okay, race on. Here we go. and now things are starting to get spicy, and Kai de Bruyne, as we predicted, has gone on to another soft compound tyre.
Yeah, little blue touch paper there to Kai de Bruyne coming into the pit lane, because look at what he's caused. Oh, Euro has a big wiggle there and loses positions to Drumont and to Gallo down to 4th place, and Miyazono biffs it into the back of him as well. Miyazono, he's in the wars here for this one. We've seen a few aggressive dives to the inside, a few uncharacteristic errors from the Japanese driver, and that might be set to cost him a little bit here.
Bro's got a snowplow on the front of that thing. He's gone into the back of every car I've seen so far, but not enough. I think it's just racing contact at this point. It's nothing that deserves a penalty in my eyes anyway, but Miyazono now starting to make his play, I think, starting to make his move. Paul Euro struggling a little bit. His rear tyres don't look to be in that too bad of a condition there. Maybe just having a little bit of a bit too enthusiastic on that throttle there. Well, there you go. We're just seeing right now that apparently it's Miyazono's dream to visit London, so glad we can do that for you.
I was just wondering who's going to go into the pit. Guy Barbara's gone for the undercut here, hasn't he? So he's gone for the medium tyre. Now, where does he go? Surely it's got to be a set of soft tyres next up for him, or at least a set of medium tyres. Wouldn't go for the hards. That would just be, I think, daft, really, to be completely honest with you, at this middle stage in the stint, given how close the drivers are to one another on circuit. Let's have a look at a replay here for Paul Euro and see where his second place came unravelled. So he's going through the right-hander, and he's going to have a bit of a wiggle on the power then here. Big snap of oversteer and a bit aid there, but loses second and then loses third.
Well collected there. These slick tyres don't have any slip, really. You go over the grip threshold and you're having a hard spin like that. They didn't want to collect that. So frantic at the front, but I'm also having a little look down the back of the Labutale and Cardinal. They're both on the hard compound tyres, and Cardinal is staying with Labutale, which is good, a good performance here from our rookie at the moment. So we'll see what they do. They're going to get that hard out of the way. I think hard then medium for these guys. Surely one stop for Labutale and Cardinal, whereas everyone else seems to be opting for maybe a two-stop strategy. We'll see how that pays off.
See these medium tyres now are starting to get a little bit worn. A few missed apexes coming in from a few drivers here. So Barbara did go on to the soft tyres. He was the first of the medium shoulder runners to blink in this race. He's got a 4.5 second buffer to Kai de Bruyne in front. So that's working out quite nicely there for Guy Barbara. Can he use that soft tyre and the clear air to his advantage? If you're outside of a second or so, generally you're pretty safe in these cars to not worry about the dirty air and so on and so forth, which will just save the front tyres.
The difference is crazy. Look at that, right on the back of him now. Actually lifting the throttle, I think, thinking, I don't really want to pass just yet. You have to really pick your moment in these cars, because if you don't, you end up either spearing into the guy in front of you or just having this big understeer or oversteer moment. And we've seen how sensitive the tyres are on this thing, so it has to be measured, it has to be calculated. And will Gallo go for a move this time at the end of the bridge? No, he doesn't. They're staying there for now, happy in third place.
Yeah, Valerio Gallo, former Nations Cup world champion, knows a thing or two about how it is to win one of these races. What about Kylian Drumont in second position as well? Again, he knows how to win a title, won it with Subaru in the Manufacturers' Cup before. And a good opportunity for him to take some honours, take some points, crucially, into the next round of the GT World Series here.
Something you guys might not expect is Gallo actually races from the chase cam.
There we go.
And is one of the best GT drivers in the world. So I always think that's so interesting, because I can't do that. It's so difficult, but he loves it.
You see it often in rallying, because drivers say they get a better feel for the car when they're racing with a chase cam. But yeah, an interesting strategy in these single-seater machines there especially. So it's all pretty calm at the front end of this one. Serrano's been able to build out a 9/10 of a second buffer over Kylian Drumont, which could prove to be quite beneficial there for him, whilst they've been squabbling behind. They're just trying to work together then here, aren't they? They're just trying to close that deficit down. Now Drumont goes to the inside, Gallo goes to the inside of Drumont rather, down into the first corner at the start of lap 12, and the Italian goes through and into second position here.
So there is Gallo up into P2 now, nice. So now he's going to try and lock onto the back of Jose Serrano. Serrano there punching the hole in the air for everybody else, and he's just being followed by this train at the moment. So Drumont doesn't seem too unhappy by that. I'm just curious as to how the strategies are going to play out here, because right now we have 8 cars who are all on identical strategies and then 4 who aren't. So we'll just see which one is the best.
De Bruyne's been able to close the gap down to Cardinal by about 3 or 4 seconds or so. He's been running in clear air, which is nice for Kai de Bruyne. The question is, did that penalty that he suffered from after that contact that we saw with Guy Barbara cost him too dear to challenge for the race victory? Is it now too aggressive of a strategy to work? Because the problem with these aggressive strategies where you start on the soft tyres, they work as long as your race is pretty much perfect to the second. If you have problems like he's had, it makes it that little bit harder, and it goes from being a battle for victory to a battle for the podium, maybe even the top 5.
So the way to think about it here really is that is the gap. Kai needs to bring back about 15 seconds to the cars in front, because he has to stop again, and everyone else has to stop again as well. So it has to be a really good stint, this one from Kai de Bruin. But we'll see how that one progresses. Well, also, background, there's Dumont having another go at Gallo, working together, I think now.
Yeah, they've got to be. You know, there's no doubt about it. The gap's down to under half a second, so these two just using the slipstream to try and take those chunks out of Jose Serrano and closing the deficit down. I was just about to say the hard runners have surely got a pit before too long, and they come in at the start of lap 13. Now, where are they going to go in terms of strategy? There's nothing. There's nothing in the rules that says they, can't use the soft tyres, but obviously it would be completely pointless to do that, because the time you would gain from it would be offset by the fact you have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, so Laboutelet and Kant now both going for the one-stop strategy. It is possible. I just don't know if it's going to be the fastest one, but it's a great. I love this element in these races, because think about it. In real life, drivers have a whole team to work this out for them, but you have to do it on the fly whilst you're driving, and driving against some of the best drivers in the world. It takes such capacity to be a high-level sim racer. In my head anyway, it's harder to do this, be fast in this, than it is to be a driver in real life.
So who's in the pound seats then in terms of tyres? Well, Miazono's got a little bit more relative to Gallo, a bit more relative to Gallo and Dumont in front, but not much, to be honest. It's pretty even Stevens between them. Let's have a look at Sasaki versus Miyazono. So this was Miyazono's move, actually, in fact, for 4th place against Pol Jura. So Jura, we saw him make a mistake a couple of laps ago. That's the 4th position. Now he's just on the fringes of the top 5. So the race coming unravelled a little bit for the young Spaniard here.
Yeah, I mean, he's still in the fight. I mean, you can still see first place from where he is, but he's definitely not enjoyed these worn medium tyres. He's struggled a little bit, especially in traction zone. We've seen that a few times now from him. He just can't quite get the car out of the corner in the same way the others can. It's maybe a bit of a heavy right foot there from Pol Jura, but this is how close it is. You can see Jose Serrano, our leader, from this onboard of Pol Jura, who's in 5th position. And just like always in these Gran Turismo World Series live events, it's covered by no more than a couple of seconds. These guys are all so fast.
Just looking at the logo on the side of the Spanish car, it looks like the old Super Aguri logo, that motif that they've got on the...
Maybe it is. I know, maybe they're back.
That's what the streets will remember. Anyway, looking at Valerio Gallo here in 3rd position, you can see a couple of tenths of a second over himself and Takuma Miyazono, but still very even Stevens at the sharp end of this one. Now, who is going to be the driver that will blink first? We're coming in towards pit stop territory. We've seen a few medium shot runners lurking a bit squirrely over the last couple of laps. The times are in the 1:28s. Compare that to the soft shot runners who are in the 1:26s, the medium shot runners who are now in the 1:30s on their outlap as well. So you would imagine it is not going to be too long before we see these pit stops coming in. And will we see a divergence in strategies? Those that are stuck behind maybe going for the undercut, going for an earlier pit stop to try and gain track position, come out in a bit of clear air. Obviously the converse to that is they have to go a lap longer, maybe a couple of laps longer compared to those who pit later.
Well, I did say that our only one-stoppers so far are Laboutelet and Cardinal, but they are now getting to the point as Dumont, for the first time this race, takes the lead away from Jose Serrano, and Gallo's going through too. So both Dumont and Gallo deciding, right now is the time to pounce. We need to get on with it. We need to get by Serrano and try and pull a gap, because I think now, Tom, all these guys are on a one-stop. They're going to come in on lap 17. And that medium compounder tyre is at its limit, bolt on some hard tyres and just squabble to the end.
I suppose that's the advantage as well. You've got so many other drivers that are all doing the same strategy around you that you can kind of do the same thing. So if you're just like, oh, well, I'll leak it up for a lap longer. Oh, they've done the same. I'll do it for another lap and then another lap and so on. So if you can do that one stop strategy, perfect, but you've got to use 2 tyre compounds in this race. You can't go onto the mediums and then onto the mediums again. Onto the mediums again. You've got to change tyre compounds. The question is, how long can you eat those medium tyres out? Can you get it so you can run a set of softs to the end of this one? Let's have another look at the change of race lead then. So Dumont with a slipstream on the inside, and Gallo said, oh, thanks very much, there's a gap there as well. I'll go through and into second.
Yeah, nice debate there. That's how you do it. It's like a high-speed chess in the Gran Turismo World Series events. But Serrano hanging on. Interestingly, we looked at the tyres just a second ago. Serrano's tyres actually in the best shape of anyone. He's led this race for the majority so far. So not only is he fast, Tony Serrano, but it's good at looking after those tyres too. Good, very good traits there for a driver here in these events. So on to lap 16 now. We think end of lap 17, all these guys are going to box for some hard compounder tyres. That's what I think is going to happen, but I've been wrong before.
yeah, hard tyres to the end of this one. When you've got soft shot runners behind and medium shot runners who are on a one-stopper as well, it's going to be interesting. The soft shot runners now coming into Brun Pits at the end of lap 15, so he's gone for the soft competitive tyre. What did he start? He was on the soft tyre, he went soft, so now surely he's going to go medium, isn't he, for the end of this race? Got to.
He has to. If he goes in a hard tyre, he's got no chance. So it will be the medium tyre, I think, for Kai de Bruyne. There it is, onto the medium, so I don't know. He'll have the pace advantage over the hard runners to the end of the race, but it's going to be, it's got to be a big push now from Kai de Bruyne to get anywhere near these guys. He's a long way back, long way back. And the Mutterlane Cardinal, they're on the same strategy as him, basically. And you can see about a second ahead, but that's not so bad. I mean, that shows you how much slower that hard tyre is. But Kai de Bruyne, who's done an extra stop over the Mutterlane Cardinal, is only 2 seconds behind. Yeah, it's not worked out too badly there for Kai de Bruyne. Of course, he's now going to make up that position on circuit, which is a bit of a problem, because had he not had that penalty, I mean, what's the gap? 2.2 seconds. He would have come out effectively in front, barring, you know, any other instance that he may have come a cropper with. So it's cost him track position. It now means he's got to do the hard work on the circuit. But if he can dispose of Cardinal pretty quickly, it might bring him back into contention. But of course, as you can see, the top 8 runners are going to be coming in for a set of hard tyres before too long, and that could leave them vulnerable to those that are on the medium tyre in the closing stages of this race, if indeed they've got any life left in them. That's a crucial point. They can all well be on a quicker competitive tyre, but if they've taken all the good bits out of them, they'll have nothing left at the end. And look who's been quietly sneaking up the field. Takuma Miyazono up 3 places, up to P4 now, and in the fight for the win here, no doubt about it. Our 2014 Nations Cup champion, showing you just why he is such. Very, very close now to the back of Jose Serrano, and it is going to be a bit of a fist fight on the hard compound tyre as well. We very rarely see these guys race on the hard tyres, so I'm quite curious to see what it's like for them. I know it's going to be slow, it's going to be tough. They aren't going to be on the lighter fuel load though, so it should be a bit nicer, but they take a while to heat up, and they don't have anywhere near the grip of these mediums, so it should be a very, very spicy last 13 laps or so. Yeah, 8 drivers all on the same strategy. It's going to be very exciting. Well, Takuma Miyazono showing why meditating to that pop song is a good idea before the start of this race. I want to say it's been a calm one from him, but the first laps were a bit scrappy, even by Takuma Miyazono standards. So he's calmed down a little bit. You can see there, philosophy by Alexandros. Well, whatever philosophy he's going by, it seems to be working quite nicely at the moment. Just sitting there in 4th position, biding his time, waiting for the right opportunity. Does anybody dive into the pit lane? Miyazono does. So Miyazono into the pits. He's the first driver to blink. So now he's going to do the undercut relative to those around him. This could be a huge move here from Miyazono, because these medium tyres, they really are on that last leg. The guys are doing 128s, high 128, 129, and we know the hard compounder tyre can easily do a 28 on its own. So this might be a masterclass here from Miyazono, just taking that 1 lap earlier and going for that undercut. So he's having to look around, but you can see him there, thinking, right, okay, where are they on the circuit? Where am I? But this means this outlap is absolutely crucial for Takuma Miyazono. I think he's come out on his own as well.
Yeah, it's worked out nicely. He's got a
as well.
Yeah, it's worked out nicely. He's got a 10-second buffer to Guy Barber in front, so that's absolutely perfect there for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo, meanwhile, took the lead of the race away from Kylian Drumont. Serrano was there in the background as well, but exactly what we saw last time as well. Down the start finish straight into the tunnel in first corner. Gallo, a decisive move there into the race lead for the first time.
And it's so cool seeing these guys race. I mean, we've been doing this now for, I think this is our 8th year of doing this. And these names, they keep coming back, and you just know, right, you've got Gallo, Drumont, Serrano, Miyazono. It's going to be a good race, and it always is. Gallo right now leading from the front with those rear tyres, getting to the point now where traction's going to be a bit of a premium. So I imagine we're going to see him all react to Miyazono's pit stop and try and avoid being undercut too badly. So we're going to see now whether Miyazono's strategy was the correct one or not, and Gallo is continuing. Yes, one more lap on the medium, as is Serrano, and Drumont opting to pit. So they're really pushing this medium tyre. I was told in the briefing that 17 laps, so you're going to get out of it. But our drivers think different.
Miyazono's not a particularly brilliant middle sector relative to some other drivers around him. 29.7's not quite the fastest. Of course, the tyres aren't up to the optimum working temperature at the moment. Hard tyres then on for Kylian Drumont. Interstrose are following the same strategy. strategy there as well. What's it like on fuel? Seems okay for them at the moment. Nothing really too much to worry about. But there is Miyazono. Has he managed to leapfrog those two drivers as they come out of the pit lane, up through and into 7th position then for Miyazono? And Dumont is still in front for now, but he's on colder tyres. Is Miyazono going to be able to take profit and go for the move on the inside? Not quite into there. So it's worked out okay for Miyazono, but not particularly brilliantly in terms of track position, because now he's got to find his way through on Dumont the hard way.
He needs to make, I don't know, I think that's not worked out for Miyazono the way I thought it was. The outlap was not enough, but Gallo and Serrano now, you can see them in the acceleration zone. They just cannot get out of the corner. I think that they've just gone a lap too long, I think, on these tyres. I mean, we can see on our end 10% left on the rear right tyre for Valerio Gallo. That thing is going to feel horrible. Now Serrano's going for a move. Don't do it now, Jose. You're fighting. Sasaki and Bolura also fighting for moves too. You can see we've got the warning sign there. Don't know what that means, but it can't be good.
No, absolutely critical for these drivers. They've got to come into the pit lane then, surely. Gallo has to, no choice for it. Sasaki also following him through there as well. So this is going to be interesting actually here between these drivers to see who emerges where. Has Miyazono lost time? He's still not ahead of Kylian Dumont, and that, as you say, Jimmy, was absolutely critical in terms of the strategy for a potential race victory for Takuma Miyazono. He needed to leapfrog, and soft tyres for Valerio Gallo, as well as Sasaki here as well. So they've decided to do a completely different strategy. Are they going to try and do the soft tyres 10 laps to the end?
We've not seen anyone, we've seen 8 laps from Kind of Brewing. Guy Barber has been on that soft tyre for 10 laps and come in. Something that says it can work is going again. So maybe this is the play. We didn't see us coming at all. Medium to soft tyre. So right now, Gallo is going to be able to drive right by these guys and just pull away and have a massive gap, and that might just be enough.
But Serrano and Ura even better, because they have got an advantage over these drivers, and they have got 1 lap fewer to do when they come in, because surely it's got to be at the end of this lap. So it's critical now for Valerio Gallo to get track position ahead of Miyazono, and look at how much grip he's got ahead of the Japanese driver at the moment. Through the right hander we go, out of the hairpin, great attraction, track position on the inside. Surely he's going to dive his way through and into 4th. He does, so Gallo's up ahead. Now his next target is Kylian Dumont.
Yeah, has to do it, has to make these moves count now. Does Gallo? Sasaki's got on the same strategy as well on that soft compounder tyre. They need to get through very quickly, and now the threat for Serrano and Ura isn't going to be Dumont and Miyazono, it's going to be Gallo and Sasaki. But can they make this tyre last in? So in comes Serrano and Ura, surely also going to go for that soft compounder tyre. They've seen it can work. I really did not see this one coming from these guys. Gallo there just trying everything to get by Dumont. Yep, as we've seen Serrano and Ura on the soft tyre, but where do they come out in relation to this pack? This is going to be super important for this race.
Well, not only have they ripped up the rule book, they've also rewritten it as we come down the start-finish straight then here. So where do Serrano and Ura emerge as they come out of the pit lane? They're behind. So it's Gallo versus Dumont, and Gallo leads on the soft compound of tyre, and now surely he's going to pull away from Dumont. What about Sasaki as well? Can he join in on the party? He's now in front of Miyazono, but it bottlenecks up through this series of corners. No way through for Sasaki on Dumont through here. He's going to have to wait for the circuit to open up, use the great attraction on the exit of the corner, and challenge Dumont for 2nd place if he's going to have any hope of challenging for the victory on this one against Gallo. To the inside goes Sasaki, and to 2nd place as well.
So Gallo now needs to take the best care of his tyres possible. I just don't know if this is going to be doable on that soft compounder tyre. But you know what? What I like is he tried it anyway, as has Sasaki. These guys have got to be clever though.
But it's the drivers behind, Serrano and Ura, that are in the penalties. They've got 1 lap fewer to do on the soft compound of tyre. They've got 0.6 of a second of a gap to make up to Miyazono and Dumont, who should be relatively easy pickings. Keep an eye out for the 2 Spaniards. Can they bring themselves right into contention in the closing 8 laps of this race? They need to get ahead of Miyazono and Dumont as quick as they possibly can.
I really think this is going to come down to the last lap or two here. Serrano making that big move on Miyazono, has to do it. Up the inside goes Serrano, now locking onto the back of Kylian Dumont. The Spanish cars flying together in formation, cutting through the field. There goes Serrano up into P3 now, and in pursuit of Sasaki and Gallo. Paul Ura is going to use the slipstream, following through. They both go through, oh my god, contact at over 200 miles an hour, but they all somehow manage to keep pointing the right way. Paul Ura slots into 4th position behind Jose Serrano, and just like that, the battle for the lead is back back on again.
Serrano versus Jura, then they need to work together here to close up onto the back of Sasaki. 6/10 of a second, the deficit between Sasaki and Serrano at this point. 1 lap newer tyres between them as well. Is that going to be the difference between winning this race, or is it going to be a battle for the podium?
My maths say that those rear tyres from Gallo and Sasaki will not last. I don't think they're going to get those to the end. And as you say, Serrano and Jura, who just waited that extra lap, that might be the difference between victory and defeat here in the first round of the Nations Cup. A reminder, top 6 get points here, of course, but when you're fighting for the win, you don't care about getting a point for 5th or 6th. You care about being on that top step of that podium, and it's going to take some wrestling away from Valerio Gallo, I can tell you that now.
It's working out quite nicely here for Lamusle. He's right on the back of Miyazono. Meanwhile, Serrano looking for a way through of Sasaki, who parks the car on the apex of the corner. These two both on the soft compounds of tyres, to remind you, but Sasaki's 1 lap older. Just to finish the thoughts on Lamusle, he's closing up into the back of Miyazono, might be able to snatch a point off of the Japanese driver. He's on the quicker compound of tyre and has gone for the one-stop strategy. Sasaki to the inside then of Gallo at the start of lap 23 and to the race lead.
There you go then, so people making the moves early, and you have to wonder, is them squabbling going to be the way? So by my maths, it's about 8 or 9% a lap you take out the rear tyre around here and the Gallo tyre around here, and Gallo and Sasaki have to do 10 laps. So
yeah, not
very,
easy
very
at all there for them. Let's have a look here at Jura in the slipstream. So down into the first corner. This is Jura's move on the inside there with Dumont. It was so close between them. And as you said, Jimmy, how on earth they managed to exit the corners in the same positions that they entered and in the same direction that they entered was remarkable.
Easy peasy. No, all the day's work for these guys. So right now, Gallo actually starting to fall off the back of Sasaki a little bit.
Sasaki's trying to pull the pin here, isn't he? He's got to do this if he's going to try and challenge for the victory, because if he starts squabbling with the likes of Gallo, it's going to bring Serrano and Jura right back into play. Sasaki needs the lap of his life to build out enough of a buffer so that when those rear tyres fall off a cliff, he's got enough in his pocket to hold on to that race lead. But look at the difference already in terms of the lap time. I know the top 2 were squabbling with one another last time around, but 25 compared to 26s and early 27s is a fortnight in these cars.
I just don't think Gallo's got the ultimate pace right now. I mean, like, he's in the tow right here. Serrano opting to stay out the tow and have a bit more of a slingshot, I think. Right, here we go. So we're in the tow. Gallo on Sasaki. Serrano we're on board with right now. Paul Jura, you can't see, is just behind us on the circuit. All snaking through here. I think we're going to stay where they are. Serrano thought, I think he thought about it for a second there, maybe, and thought, no, I can wait, I can afford to wait. My tyres are in much better nick than the guys in front of me. No point me rushing.
So Sasaki it is that still leads then, 0.3 of a second to the good of Valerio Gallo and Serrano as well as Paul Jura. Miyazono meanwhile still in front of now De Bruyne, who is in front in turn of Lamusle. So Lamusle must have had a moment last time around because he was right on the rear bumper of Miyazono at one point. Not quite sure what has happened to the Frenchman there. But either way, he's now dropped some 3 seconds off the back of that final points-paying position. Just a reminder, points all the way down to 6th place. And these 12 drivers that are here in London will also be going through into Berlin. They'll be here for the rest of the season. So all these points are absolutely critical in the Nations Cup as they come through into this left-handed hairpin. It's the calm before the storm, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, something's going to give at some point, and it's going to be just explosive, I think is the best term for it. Still on board Paul Jura, watching Serrano in front, goes for a dive, and we're going to follow our compatriot through on board Paul Jura up into, is it 3rd place? No, 2nd place is Serrano, and they're side by side behind Gallo and Jura bumping wheels as we go down the straight. Jura using the toe, see Serrano putting it across to help his compatriot there. Man, these guys are thinking in 5D, aren't they? It's not just about their race, it's also the race of their teammates around them.
And they're challenging for the race lead against Sasaki now as well, who's coming under pressure from Jose Serrano into this corner. We know you can't make a move stick, but you've got to be last of the late breakers and have a very willing dance partner out of the tunnel and into the daylight once again. Serrano now in the slipstream, now against Sasaki, now challenging for the race lead. Does he dive to the inside, to the left-hander? He does, and Serrano goes through. Is the door open for Jura there as well? Sort of, on the inside, twitches to the outside line. Sasaki's going to defend it, but that'll compromise his run out of the corner, and Jura just has to wait another day. Goes for a lunge on the inside, but runs slams it deep. Sasaki's ready to come back through there, but no door is open. And now it is Serrano versus Yura for the victory in this one. And Serrano's got 9/10 in his back pockets.
A huge move from Yura. He has to do that great block pass in the background. Gallo's trying the same thing. Can't quite make that one stick though for now. And Gallo, he knows that if these guys get away, that's it. There's no coming back from this one. But that was a great move from Yura. Just sat on the apex, gave Sasaki nowhere to go. And now, as you say, Tom, it's Spaniard on Spaniard. This time, I've got a feeling they aren't going to play so nice.
No, this is going to be very interesting between these two. It was sort of civil war, really. We saw it in the sprint race a few minutes ago. Are we going to see the same stakes, though, here in the grand final? You would imagine it is going to be a much closer affair, and I would imagine a much more aggressive affair, because points mean prizes, and every point matters, even in the opening round of the season. The question is, though, who's going to get the final podium place here between Sasaki and Gallo, because it is pretty even Stevens between these two in terms of pace right now.
On board with Gallo at the moment. I have to think, does he have a response to this? I'm not sure he does. Both his and Sasaki's tyres are looking pretty second hand at this point. It's still got 4.5 more laps to go though.
Keep an eye out for Drummond, who's down in 5th place. I know he's on the hard combat of tyre, but you can see there he was 0.3 of a second quicker than the soft shop runners last time around. And I wonder whether those hard tyres are going to start coming into their own. Over the course of one lap, they are significantly slower. But over the course of a race duration, that is where the hard tyres will begin to pay off. There's a fair gap to catch up. It's about 4 seconds or so. I think it might be a bit too far away given the later stages of this race. But if anything unravels between these top four, as we have seen it do so, it could bring Drummond, maybe Miyazono, back into play for a position up the order.
I just think it's because of the fighting we saw in that lap. I don't think the pace is quite there for the hard tyre. But as you say, Tom, for Sasaki and Gallo especially, they're going to really start struggling in a couple of laps' time with this soft compounder tyre. That might bring Drummond back. It might bring Miyazono back. It might bring De Bruin back for a point or two. Who's there in 7th place, just waiting behind right now. He's quicker than anyone right now. But that last lap time there, Sasaki and Gallo, having a fight. Will we see Gallo go for a move?
No, not quite. He's not close enough, is he?
I think maybe there's a bit of like, geez, now we're stuck, aren't we?
Yeah.
What do we do now?
They're sort of in no man's land, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
This is the problem. That's the risk with going for that undercut, because, as we said, it's only one lap, but it does have a massive impact on the race. And look at what he's done, 2.2 seconds clear up the road, Serrano versus Yura. And they've got enough of a cushion now in their pocket to sort of get involved in their own squabble, because they know that Sasaki and Gallo will not have the pace to catch up.
Yeah, I just don't think, as you say, Tom, that tyre's got enough in it, and Sasaki's doing enough to keep Gallo behind, and he's doing that whilst being slow. I mean, if we look at last lap time, Serrano 26.5, 25.9 from Yura in the toe, and there's a 27.1 and a 27.0.
Oh, Gallo!
Oh, there you go.
Lunges to the inside for 3rd place on Sasaki. Sasaki left the door pretty firmly open there, so maybe he wants to be the follower rather than the followee at this point.
To give you some sort of number to the rear tyres percentage-wise, and we might have a graphic for it soon, but Gallo right now and Sasaki, their rear right tyre on 32% apiece, and then in front of them it's 39% for Serrano and Yura. That's the difference one lap makes around here.
So down the start finish straight we go. Cardinal gets a warning for bump drafting. The stewards don't take too kindly to that sort of thing here in the GT World Series. It's his first event, so we'll give him the grace of it, but a warning is one step away from a penalty. 10th position currently for Sam Cardinal, newcomer to the GT World Series. Let's see what impact he can make later on in the championship, because it hasn't been a particularly fruitful evening for him here tonight.
The pace of Serrano and Yura, they really have just opened the taps now. They've put 3 seconds on Valerio Gallo, who is not a slow driver. And this goes to show that when you get your head down round here, these guys, the Spaniards, they're going to be hard to beat this year, Tom.
Well, the crucial point is they've stopped squabbling amongst one another. They've worked together like we saw them doing in the sprint race here. They've just not been, diving up the inside, sending another driver wide, taking 7 bells out of each other. They've worked together to build up that buffer to now over 4 seconds, which has worked quite nicely.
And they have worked together, but
here
comes your question if you're Serrano and Paul Yura. Who wins this race? Because we're coming in now to the penultimate lap, and Yura is, I'd say, probably in the better position. He's got the toe, which means pretty much an automatic pass into the first corner if you're in about 3-4 tenths or so. Right now, though, I think Serrano is aware, I need to actually try and pull this gap out a little bit. So we're now going to see a bit of a fist fight, I think. And these guys, as I said, they are compatriots. They are part of that same Nations Cup victorious team in 2023 when it was a team game rather than a single driver. But right now, they are enemies. Who will win? Well, in a lap and a half, we're going to find out.
It's a mental game here between these two, and Serrano closes the door there on Paul Ura. Well, the door was never really open, was it, to be completely honest? But Ura closes up onto the back of him, and he's just trying to find his way through, trying to sniff out where Serrano is a little bit slower over the course of that lap. Look at where his weaknesses are. Maybe send a dress rehearsal to the inside, a warning sign to Serrano to try and challenge for this race victory here.
You're watching right now two of the fastest Gran Turismo drivers in the world duke it out for the first win of the year here in London. Jose Serrano, your leader, Paul Ura in second place, and with only a lap and a half of this Grand Valley reverse circuit to go, it is anyone's game. Ura, of course, needs to find a way past Jose Serrano. There's realistically maybe one or two more chances to do that, and here's one of them now. Serrano very, very slow there, and Ura deep actually. That might have cost him slightly. Ura has a slightly worse tyre than Serrano in front, but that won't make too much difference. Using the toe up here to the top of the course, and this I think is going to be Paul Ura's next chance on the exit of his left-hander, Tom.
De Bruyne's going down the order as well. I think he's had a problem there, down into 7th position, just behind now Takuma Miyazono. So out of the points there for him as we come on to the start of the final lap for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Serrano who leads Paul Ura 0.2 of a second in it as we come into the first corner. Serrano defends Ura, looking for the outside line. That's going to be brave and bold and brilliant from Paul Ura if he can make it stick. Side by side they run into the braking zone. Serrano's got track position. Ura's off onto the grass on the inside. He's got the line though on the inside, but he switches to the outside line with the next left-hander, and somehow Serrano retains the lead.
Ura's got a toe though down here. This will be the last chance in Racing to make the move. When he goes to the inside of Jose Serrano, he looks for it, doesn't quite make the move. Stick. Serrano goes deep into the braking zone. When he now going to cut back into his right-hander, Ura takes a wider line. Serrano sits on the apex there. Stops Ura getting the power, but a slight wheel spin moment. Ura looks to the outside. Again, he's alongside, but just can't make it stick. He's wide. He's wide.
He's no. Oh, it's so hard though when you're running deep there, because it switches back to that left-hander, and it just gave Serrano enough track position. Half a lap to go then here, separating Serrano and Ura from victory in the grand final in the Nations Cup. And he goes to the inside for Ura. Can he make it stick on Serrano? He slides. Is that moment over? Is that victory over for Ura then against Jose Serrano? It's advantage Serrano with just a few corners now remaining.
Serrano then, I think, maybe called the bluff there of Paul Ura, just about managing to take the win away. Maybe one last chance for Paul Ura.
It's going to be a drag to the line between Serrano and for Ura then, between the two of them, but Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London. It's Jose Serrano on top, Paul Ura in second. Valerio Gallo will take third ahead of Takuma Sasaki. What a fantastic end to that race. It has absolutely destroyed my vocal cords as Jose Serrano destroys the competition here in London.
If you're anyone else but a Spanish GT driver right now, you're probably thinking, what do I have to do? Gallo there did really well, I think, to make that soft tyre last. His right rear tyre was on 3% when he crossed.